Hey, it's me, Alissa, back with another crime video. Today we're going to be talking about the infamous clown apocalypse of 2016, the killer clown panic, if you will. I'm also going to be doing my makeup. I'm turning myself into a clown to celebrate the occasion. Not that I don't do that anyways in my free time, but it's fine, you know what I mean. So to start off, I'm mainly going to be using paints. These face paints from the brand, ooh, that's stuck. From the brand Superstar. Here they are. Now, as you may remember, when I started applying this 6 years ago, an incredibly bizarre trend swept across the nation, taking the news by storm. It seemed like every school was buzzing with rumors of scary people in costumes chasing kids into the woods. This nationwide scare started in August 2016, but really, it started before that. While clowns have evolved and changed over hundreds of years, this archetype of the scary clown has been present for a while. I'm gonna finish doing this and I'll be back. Now, while I wait for this to dry, I'm gonna keep going. Now, the presence of this scary clown archetype is especially due to the horror genre, which truly was a catalyst for shifting public opinions on clowns. So no longer are they performers, but villains. Take Batman's Joker, for example, or Pennywise from Stephen King's It. This change not only came from fiction, like in these examples, but in real life as well. So, in the 70s, you had serial killer and rapist John Wayne Gacy, who was known in his community as Poe the Clown. He performed at children's events and fundraisers, and also raped and killed at least 33 young men and boys. This is kind of one of the examples of the change in real life of how people saw clowns. So the question is, why do people find clowns so scary? Besides the above example of John Wayne Gacy, which is obvious. So, David Wilson, professor of criminology at Birmingham City University, believes that clowns tap into a particular part of our subconscious. To quote him here, clowns deliberately exaggerate the human face and cover the human face with paint so as to make the face less human. When a small child is first learning about the world, to have exaggerated features is incredibly disquieting and makes them question what they are just beginning to feel is normal. Of course, the clown's behavior is meant to be funny, but if you haven't yet developed that sense of the world, then you simply view them as odd, scary. Part of what makes clowns so scary to people is the uncanny valley effect. While this is often applied to technology and robots, like eerily human AIs, I would say that the uncanny valley can be applied to just about anything that's almost human, but has something off about it. It's the gray area of unease that comes from what our brains know isn't right, but can't figure out exactly why. So while robots are the prime example of it, clowns embody it as well, as Wilson kind of touches upon in this quote. We know clowns are human. We know they're people. But with the exaggerated features that obscure their face and identity, as well as unpredictable behavior, it makes sense that something about clowns would register in our instincts as wrong. The entire point of clowns is to usurp social norms for entertainment. They cross behavioral boundaries. They trick you for laughs, like pretending to throw water on you. The same professor, Wilson, claims that the contemporary relevance of killer clowns through media and real life taps into this broader cultural fear of clowns. So right now, going back to the makeup look I'm doing, I'm starting to add some color and shapes to the eyes. I'm adding some blue here. And I will get back to you. If we really want to get into why people don't like clowns, me excluded, quite obviously, because I am a clown, we have to tap into the unconscious mind. The memories, impulses, and fears that we aren't aware of. According to Freudian theory, this is the basis of human behavior. Now, applying this to clowns, this could come from our childhood or just our natural impulses that connect to our id, which Freud saw as the base for our desires. Now, if we look at Carl Jung's theory of collective unconsciousness, that gives us a better idea of how this primal fear of clowns manifests itself culturally on a broader scale by reflecting the unconscious desires of our society as a whole. News outlets latching onto scary clown stories, movies having killer clown villains, would all be manifestations of this broader fear. So, to get back to the timeline of events, in decades past, we have seen other clown scares. Like, there was one in the 80s. So what made this time special? Well, the simple answer is social media. For the few years leading up to 2016, prank videos had started getting extremely popular on YouTube, and this included clown pranks. People would dress up to scare others and post it online for clicks and likes. This is one of the factors that contributed to the scare, but let's get back to August of 2016. So several kids in South Carolina reported being lured into the woods by clowns offering money and candy, which, you know what, can't say I wouldn't be tempted, but the police never found any proof or evidence of any kind to back this up or trace back to anyone actually doing this. However, this was a catalyst for a nationwide panic. There were sightings all over the country. Eventually, every major news outlet was reporting on these killer clowns. Because of social media, this clown scare snowballed very quickly. So now, not only were pranks gaining traction, but real videos of people being chased by clowns. These two were often indistinguishable from each other. People latched onto the idea of scary clowns like kids to candy. I'm adding some green here now because I did this yellow side. So no one knew really what was real or what was fake. On one hand, you had tons of unsubstantiated stories propagated by kids, but on the other hand, real people were getting hurt. And each sighting brought more and more attention, you know? Like, the more people talked about it, the more it would keep happening, especially since a lot of these cases were just copycats of each other. So it kind of just, again, snowballed into a huge thing. A man in New York was attacked by a clown with a knife. Same with a boy in Michigan. Someone tried to abduct a 1-year-old from a Denny's. A 6-year-old boy was stabbed to death in Pennsylvania. Now, in this case, the boy was actually the one wearing the clown mask, but to news outlets, this didn't really matter since people kind of took it and molded it and warped it to be another killer clown story to frighten the masses, essentially. And every major news outlet did this. One of the articles that I looked at for research for this, even they had to correct themselves because earlier they had spread this misinformation. And then afterwards they had to go back and say, oh, whoops, never mind, we were wrong. So it kind of shows how everyone was kind of so paranoid and so scared by what was going on that they were spreading misinformation and a lot of fake things were being spread around, and you couldn't distinguish what was real or what was fake and what was true and what was not. So there was also the case of the Flomo clown in Alabama that was targeting towns around Flomaton and the surrounding area. Flomo used Facebook to make creepy cryptic posts threatening the area. Because of this, schools had to go into lockdown. There were even stories about the clown allegedly killing 2 boys. There were several suspects arrested for all these supposed threats, but it would seem that a 23-year-old woman, Michaela Smith, was responsible. She pleaded guilty under charges of terroristic threats. So this is a case, an example of a real case and a real crime that was committed at the time. This trend, though, even went international. CNN interviewed a Canadian woman who claimed a clown had chased her to her car. There were many, many, many incidents in the UK of, scary killer clowns chasing people and a lot of sightings of these. So, to take a pause here and get back to this. Usually, this is a lot more cartoonish than I usually do. I am very used to doing clown makeup. But I wanted to try something new and try to go for a more classic clown look rather than a more makeup artist clown look. So here I have yellow, and then I added pink and green around it. And then on this side I have blue and green, just blue, different shades of blue. I started out primary colors, and now, so obviously the lips are going to be red. But I just added some more just to give it some dimension because just the yellow wasn't, like, it didn't feel right. So now I'm adding just some more colors, some dots, you know, to give it a little something. And I'm going to try to finish off the base of the eyes, and then I'll get back to you. So now the biggest question people have had since this happened, in all the years since, is what was that? People didn't know how or why it started, but they were afraid nonetheless. Some people think it was all a hoax. Some people think it was Satanists or cults. Some people think it was all a PR stunt for the movie It. This last one is actually probably attributed to the fact that one of the early sightings was a PR stunt for a short film from a local filmmaker in Wisconsin. But, you know, nonetheless, people have had a lot of questions about whether this epidemic was real or fake. For every story that was real, there were like 10 that were fake. At the same time that kids and teens in costumes were using this trend to go viral on social media, real criminals were using it to get away with crimes and using all these copycat clowns to literally just commit real crimes. After all, it was a low-risk, high-reward stunt. I actually switched the green out for purple because I wasn't digging the green with the pink and the yellow. But anyways, the spiral into mass hysteria and panic was a perfect cover for chaos. Schools closed, kids and parents alike were terrified. Police were being called left and right, having to waste their resources on fake stories. People were being arrested nationwide for dressing up as clowns. Who knew? Who knew? Maybe I'll get arrested now. Social media was an easy vehicle for this mob mentality. Think the Salem witch trials, but now millions of people around the world can participate. So fun, right? The level of panic would not have happened without the internet, and news outlets just encouraged this virality. In some places, people even form vigilante clown hunting groups. Yeah, that's not a phrase I thought I'd ever hear either. In October of 2016, obviously, hundreds of Penn State students swarmed the streets to carry out a mass clown hunt. It was essentially a riot. There were small towns where people threatened clowns with guns. This trend was making people do rash, irresponsible things born out of their fear. These kinds of periods of mass hysteria, whether clown-related or not, tend to manifest themselves during times of uncertainty. So, fall 2016, we had kind of a nationwide anxiety. The world felt unstable. The presidential elections were coming up. And the US was overdue for a panic of this proportion, especially with the growth of social media having happened so quickly over the decade before. It just was bound to happen, something of this scale. So one aspect that's a little less talked about is the effect this had on the clowning industry. The rising negative perceptions of clowns were already making it suffer, but this had a staggering effect on actual clowns. Professionals were terrified. One clown who worked at a haunted house said, "We're not the people in the woods, I'm not the enemy." Which, you know, I think this kind of really succinctly puts together how they felt at this time. You know, people picking up their pitchforks and torches had a substantial impact on these real people and their real livelihoods. Somewhat unrelated, but the reason that McDonald's stopped showing Ronald McDonald in their commercials and stuff was directly related to the 2016 panic. So this kind of just shows some of the less obvious consequences of this mass hysteria. Here I added eyeliner, which right now looks crazy because I haven't put on lashes. But I'm going to do the lips, and then add lashes, and then I'm going to wrap this up. So, the scare lasted until fall when it started to dissipate. Ultimately, it was a dangerous trend made up of pranks as well as real crimes. So was it a hoax? Kind of, but also not really. It was, though, an example of how social media can amplify baseline, unconscious cultural fears and anxiety, causing mass hysteria. So will there be another scare like this? Probably not. But the scary clown archetype will stay in society for a long time, and this sort of thing could easily happen again with something else. There's a good quote from David Kaiser, who is a clown expert, which is my dream profession, just so we all know. But the quote says, "Clowns hold a mirror onto society, so we can see the absurd in ourselves. So to be afraid of them is ultimately to be afraid of yourself." I just think that's a great way to wrap up just the absurdity and the craziness of what happened in 2016 and how this really reflects our collective unconscious and, you know, how our fears are reflected in society and how social media and the news can amplify this. Now, I am going to quickly finish this, and then I'm going to make myself look a little more clown-like because I'm just wearing a white t-shirt and my hair's up. And then we'll talk about the look and everything. So I'll be right back. Alright, here's the fun part. I like to say my clown name is Slimy the Clown because it feels accurate to me. I decided this tutu around my neck. So I'm gonna go through this look. Okay. So I started the look by doing, you know, the base of white. And then, you know, you saw me go through it, do the eyes and the eyebrows and, you know, all the decorations and then the lips and the nose. On this side, I kind of wanted to do a primary color thing, but then I just went for it with pink because pink is like my favorite color. So on this side, I have blue and I added just some under, you know, I added white on both corners and some under like lashes with eyeliner. And then I added these big over lashes with eyeliner and then some actual lashes with lash glue. It's just like an adhesive eyeliner that I use. And then here I have the yellow with pink on the inside, pink on the outside. I switched the green out for purple because I liked it better. And then I added pink dots with white in the middle. And same here, I added a pink dot with white in the middle. The eyebrows, I went for big and like huge. And then I went for some red dots above the eyebrows with little yellow and blue, since those are the main accents here, to go around them, because that's kind of the main color palette, besides pink, obviously, but I thought there was enough pink. I forgot to add my finishing touch, which is just, let me get that out. It's just lip gloss. So I'm going to add some of this, because it really just makes the lips shine. This is just a lip gloss I got as a gift. I basically used that palette I showed at the beginning, plus a Prados Beauty palette to do everything in this look. Besides then e.l.f. eyeliner, and these lashes are from a brand called Hex Baby Beauty. But yeah, so this is the final look. This is, I guess, Slimy the Clown. I wanted to go for really dramatic to kind of embody that uncanny valley effect of almost human, but not quite. So it's like my features, it's like, yeah, there's lips, there's eyebrows, there's eyes, there's a nose. But they're not, you know, they're clown-like. They're not human. They're exaggerated. You're hiding something. You're wearing a mask. It's theatrical. It's a performance, you know? So I try to go for that, which is why it's very cartoonish. I feel like usually I tend to go for the more makeup artistry clown looks. But since I was, you know, talking about the idea of a scary clown, I really did want to go for the more uncanny valley type creepy, not creepy, because it's not really a creepy clown look, it's just a regular clown look. But the whole idea is that is what's scary, is the idea of the clown and how that works with our subconscious and our unconscious minds. So I kind of just wanted to work with that. and do something really dramatic. My favorite part of all my looks is just adding these slashes because they make it dramatic as hell. Ooh. I can't say that. But they make it really dramatic. Anyways, and then with the lips and everything, it's just, you know, I turned myself into a clown. I think I definitely achieved that here. So yeah, that is the Killer Clown Epidemic of 2016, read by yours truly, Slimy the Clown. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this makeup and hearing my thoughts on this event, which was kind of a mix of pranks and hoaxes and real crimes and real people getting hurt and just this mass hysteria that happened, and no one knows why it happened, really. Everyone's still kind of confused. So, yeah, thank you for watching. Goodbye. Actually, the last thing I forgot to show was that I have an actual clown nose. Honk honk. This, you know, adds even more. Have a whole box of these ready to go for whenever I need them.